Canada's job market has delivered a surprise as well as some confounding signs about just how the economy is doing. Last month, jobs were lost when forecasters had called for gains. And this result is even weaker given how fast the working age population is growing. Jeannie Lee joins us now with more on all of this. So, Jeannie, what is going on here? How much did employment stumble?
Well, this stumble did happen, and it's more notable than other stats that we've seen, simply because, Hillary, since the initial seismic impact of the pandemic on jobs, there really have been only about 8 months of job losses out of 48 months, roughly, of job reports. So this is different. And consider some of these other details of the March employment report. You had 2,200 jobs lost. Doesn't sound like a lot, but forecasters were expecting job gains, over 20,000 of them. Meanwhile, of course, we know that the working age population is growing by leaps and bounds. In fact, it grew by 91,000 last month. So that means that there were 60,000 more people out there looking for work. Last month alone, 60,000 more people, for a total of 1.3 million unemployed. That, of course, sent the jobless rate up. And this is the next chart we're going to see, which is the jobless rate month to month. And you'll see how it's risen steadily to 6.1%, a full percentage point higher than where it was in April of last year, or even going back about a year now. So that's a big gain. It means it's tougher, Hillary, for job hunters. There are more of them, and of course, there are fewer jobs, and that is never a great formula for the economy or for those people in particular.
So, Jeannie, of course, we just heard the economy was growing at a decent rate. So where does this all leave us?
It leaves us with what I call data backlash, because, you and I were just talking, a week ago about how GDP was on track to grow at a pretty solid rate of 3.5% this year. And meanwhile, you had the strong growth, and yet today you're hearing about these job losses. But within the same report, you're hearing that wage inflation is happening. 5.1% is how high wages went up. And that's even higher than overall inflation. So that could ignite inflation again. So a lot of conflicting signs there for the Bank of Canada to consider. So the debate is on out there. Here is a typical response or analysis from one economist. Have a listen.
Inflation is coming within the Bank of Canada's target range. It's slowing down. We've seen a huge pullback in grocery prices relative to December. And these are all good news stories. So while we don't expect that the Bank of Canada will go ahead with a cut in April, we are expecting to see a 25 basis point cut at that June 5th meeting.
Because it's the Bank of Canada that's looking at all of these confounding statistics. It's got the job, of course, of deciding whether it can give borrowers some relief by cutting interest rates. So there you have one view, June 5th. Others think maybe after that. But yeah, we'll be watching, especially next week when the Bank of Canada actually makes its next decision.
Absolutely. Watching closely. Okay, Jeannie, thank you for this.
You're welcome.